committee to
Bring it, Rob.
11/5/24. The committee agenda is as follows. Introduction with attendance, we're reading, and I'll read the code of conduct in a second. Review of September 2024 minutes. Follow up from the previous month, if there's anything from follow up from the previous month. And new business, we had Department of Environmental Protection and Department of Sanitation. Covered various areas, and then our next meeting will be January 7th, 2025. Code of conduct, Bronx Community Board 7 has a right to remove a board member or member of the public from a meeting for engaging in inappropriate conduct, including but not limited to obscene, threatening, or harassing language, slander, threats of violence, personal attack of any kind, or offensive, inflammatory comments on the basis of ethnicity, race, age, religion, gender, sexual orientation, and/or disability. Members of the public who engage in any other behavior that reasonably impedes the orderly administration of the meeting while at a board meeting shall be removed from the board meeting at the discretion of the chair or a chair designee. Everyone besides the speaker or presenter will remain silent throughout the meeting. After each presentation is over, the chair will inquire if committee members have questions. Committee members will signify that they have a question by raising their hand when the chair opens the floor. Only those recognized by the chair of the committee will be allowed to speak during the allotted time. We will stay on topic with the agenda items. Any other items will be acknowledged by the chair in new business or addressed at the next meeting, provided there is time and the committee agrees on the topic. Following questions, discussion, and public comments, the committee will begin the discussions of each presentation, agenda item, and will, if applicable, conclude with the decision to vote on a recommendation. When the agenda is finished, the meeting will be adjourned. And I would like to add that committee members will also have an opportunity to engage in discussion on various topics. Well, okay. So with that said, let's start with introductions and attendance. We will take attendance at some point. There is the attendance sheet. There's none there. So okay, be sure we got everyone. We have everyone. Well, yes. Okay. 25. Okay. So let's go quickly around the room and give introductions, starting with myself, Jenny Arce. Conclusion. And you're on the board. Oh, and she's a board member, new board member. Okay. Welcome. So, Greg, how are you? Got in here. Okay, who are you? 21 Thomas, the board member since. Master compost. Master composter. Yeah. Just combinate with where we go. Yeah. Oh, my name is Jean Hill. Board member, chair of budget personnel, and glad to be here and down in member seat.
Sergio Guarino with Guarino's Against Graffiti, and I'm a community activist.
Haven't seen you for a long time.
Health this.
Okay, with Department Panaski, environment meditation. Happy to. Lowell Green, I've been a board member for a long time. And these are committee members. These are committee members.
Max Green, a member of the community.
That's right.
And Carla, I'm the district manager.
And her address?
That's Kiardi Sub, CE.
First.
Sanitation.
Thank you for being here this evening. So we're going to proceed with review of our September 2024 minutes. It's in your package. Please review, read that, and let me know first and foremost if the attendance is correct. If you're here and it's your marked as absent, if you were here, just make sure you let me know that. Otherwise, I'm just going to briefly go over. We had a new board member, Joanna Jackson, was introduced, and quorum was met. We had quorum. We had two significant rollouts: curbside composting and containerization. So you'll see that information there very quickly. We also reviewed capital expense budget requests. Our biggest concerns were the clean catch basins and we won't take this up now, but we'll follow up at some other point. We just wanted to know, wanting to make sure that these catch basins, which when they get flooded, it rains, it overflows and ponds our sidewalk and what have you, so. So we were looking at ways in which, maybe it's to be an expensive capital expense to do something about, clean cat, either, a more frequent schedule, what have you, okay? Then we talked about, we have our biggest issue is, more, aggressive enforcement of dirty sidewalks. So our concern would be probably, more staff, enforcement of, getting our streets clean. And that was it. Any other questions? Anyone have any issues? Can I get a motion to? Second. So we're going to now have a roll call on that one. Then we are say approves the minutes. Colleen Hartman Finowski approves the minutes. Glenn Lewis Thomas D. approves. Jean Hill approves the minutes. Okay. Lowell Green.
I'll abstain because I wasn't present.
Okay, all right. So minutes, it's approved. So we move on. See, any follow-up from last month, any questions people have, or anything you want to bring up now, based on the minutes, or any discussion that we had at the last meeting? We'll look at it again just to make sure.
Now, the only thing I can say again is I know that the curbside composting has started. And it's for buildings 1 to 9 stories.
We're gonna cover that. Joe, that's what Joe's here to cover. Okay.
Yes, because tell me what you're gonna do at Tracy Towers with 40 stores.
Yeah, okay, so we're gonna cover that afterward, but yeah, definitely, that's why that follow-up is now the presence of Joe. It's okay. And I think we all have that concern too, because even if we're in residential homes, it has an impact on it as well, especially if we live near a large building.
No, I was reading your notes about some of the small buildings, they're still not doing it.
Yeah.
Private homes are still not doing it.
Yeah. All right, so we're going to move ahead and we're gonna have FDR zone from the Department of Environmental Protection. He's got 2 items. Effie, you want to join us over here?
Sure, I think we're.
Yeah, come on, fix.
That.
What was that?
Set of dominoes.
The gremlins are giving us this evening.
Oh my
Yeah, I'll
God.
pick him up, don't worry about it.
Oh, that was,
I got it.
No, I don't think it is.
I thought it was something from the ceiling. Did it just come down?
Yeah, it's still there on the edge.
Wow, that's a lot. Okay, see the floor is good. That's everything. Paper presentation and then we will paper from the meeting members, or the board members, and then to you.
Thank you. Before I go into the presentation, just a quick, we're under a drought watch, okay? We're not at the extreme level where we're saying, don't turn on your sprinkler systems or things of that nature, but we are asking that everybody conserve water, take shorter showers, be more aware, and we are also aware of running hydrant complaints, making sure that they close right away. If there's any leak conditions, we're trying to address them as soon as possible. So we are under a drought watch. So my presentation is going to be on flooding, but right now we're on this, okay? So we'll definitely be in touch. We've been emailing the elected officials and the community boards. These you can definitely make copies and put them on your buildings with your phones. And let everybody be aware of that. But we are sending the message out via social media. We did a whole big press event with the mayor on Monday. And we will be in touch with the community board and elected officials posted. Right? I just wanted to mention, I noticed one of the items is this flyer, right? And thank you, Carla, for making color copies. Even us at DP do not have color copy machines working right now. So thank you very much as well. This is the ones I bought, right? Yes, and they're, yeah, they should be the same. Actually, getting get one of these. You might as well. Oh, here.
Color one.
Anybody need the color?
Oh, these are spares. So you could take them to the office.
Oh, I have it, I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
It's under the.
But which one?
Yes, got it. I got it.
I
What are the gardens? This one?
No,
Rainfall?
the drought one,
Oh, you need more of those, okay.
yeah.
You have, I have one.
But-
Yeah, they're here, they're on the chair. I have them on the chair. No, no, we don't need that.
These.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
For the marine, we
The one that we emailed, I don't think it was in different languages, maybe the one we have online is, I'm not sure.
All right, well,
but-
double check the-
Or the other thing that you could do is you can scan your code, and sometimes we've been doing it that way.
Rate them in Spanish and English.
All right. This is a guide that we've been giving out, and I'm almost 100% certain we brought them here, to your meetings previously. And it has to do when you're a property owner. This is not necessarily for buildings, this is like 1, 2, 3 family homes. How you can better flood-proof your property, right? And I'll be discussing it in this lengthy presentation, but it won't take forever, I promise, we'll get through it. But some of the ideas that we're gonna discuss is installing a rain barrel, right? To collect the stormwater runoff. Right now, we're under a drought law, it would be great to have one of these, if it was full of water, you could use it to. Or with water your garden in the summertime, for example. Having drains on your properties help alleviate flooding with French drains. Check valves installed, check valves to prevent sewer backups. So we talked about this before, not dumping grease down the drain, these are some ideas, and you can look to that. But we'll be reviewing this.
Excuse me, I
Yes.
think you should explain a French drain because people may not be aware of what it is.
Well, a French drain, there's lots of different drains that you can put on your property. You should consult with a contractor basically to see what fits best, right? Sometimes you can flood-proof your property by digging it all around and putting some rock and other things around it to better mitigate the flooding so it doesn't come to your basement. Other times you may have a dry well. Is another type of basin in your backyard. You know your property best, so it's good to get a contractor or somebody who's a professional to tell you where are you having ponding and how it can be alleviated. Okay. So flood preparedness, right? Let's go through this now. So we have a changed climate, climate change is real. According to NOAA, we are a humid subtropical climate now in New York City. That's the new classification, right? Humid subtropical.
What exactly does that mean?
Lots more powerful storms. A lot more intense rain. And as you can see, we have just some samples of serious storms and how much will come down in an hour. Close to 2 inches, with Ida, we had over 3. This past September, August, we were getting some intense storms as well. Climate change, the storms are getting worse in these coastal areas as well, when you have sea level rising and the tidal cycles, and we'll discuss this further. But yeah,
Okay,
please, I hope you will.
Okay, everyone's following?
Yeah.
Okay.
Please, here. So the new classification is humid subtropical. All right, the storm that I was talking about that was most recent is the August 6th storm. We've had intense rainfall in the Bronx. We typically, the city activates something called the flash flood plan and issues travel advisories and warnings when we have intense storms coming up, and you'll get those from OEM typically, like Notify NYC. During that August 6th storm this summer, you will look at the graph and you will see like Riverdale got hit the hardest, right? They've had a lot of rainfall. It's interesting, areas typically that I would never get complaints about flooding. Now this past year to 2 years everybody's complaining about flooding. When you're getting these intense storms, it overtaxes the system. So in that particular case, we had like 5.5 inches in 24 hours, which is a lot of. Okay. We're gonna discuss types of flooding, which is the one after that one. So stormwater is heavy rainfall. There's also groundwater where it comes naturally from the ground, and in certain areas, like Riverdale, Western Bronx, you do get groundwater conditions. Also, Southeast Queens, you get groundwater conditions. And then you have coastal flooding, and this does not pertain specifically to this community board, but this is just types of flooding, right? So if you live by the water, you also get coastal flooding. Our sewers, right? Our sewers work in heavy rainstorm. That's what they're there for. It's built to handle about an inch and less than 2 inches, right, per hour. So you can understand when you're getting 5 inches, like at that Riverdale storm, what's going to happen? Everything's going to be overtaxed and flooding. So due to climate change, New York City is experiencing more frequent heavy downpours, and our sewers were not designed to handle that. I always use the analogy, and I may have said this before, of a bathtub, right? You fill up your bathtub with water, you pull the plug, right? The water's funneling down. It takes a while though, right? Why? Because there's excessive water in it. It doesn't mean though that it's not functioning. Okay, and that's the same kind of mentality with sewers. They are functioning, they are taking the water, it's just coming at an excessive level. The next slide is about sewer backups and overflows, right? 60% of New York City has combined sewers, so that means they carry wastewater from your home and stormwater from the heavy rains from the streets. During rainstorms, the sewer system gets overwhelmed when the amount of water produced by the storm is greater than the capacity of the pipes. And this results in backups, and you can get those from the manholes, catch basins, basement sewer connections, or overflows into waterways. Let's go to the next slide, street flooding. On the street, we have catch basins, obviously, and feel free to ask me about your catch basin questions, I guess, and I'm sure everybody's seen catch basins, what they look like. We have some examples here. And obviously, if your catch basin is in a high pedestrian area, in a commercial area, or at the bottom of the hill, right, the garbage is going to accumulate more on top of it. And when there's excessive water running, your basin is at the bottom of the hill, of course, all the water is going to rush with all the garbage and debris and litter and that over it, right? Blocked catch basins are not broken catch basins, right? And what we do is we kindly ask anyone who has basin in front of their home or their business to kindly sweep the debris off the top, especially when heavy rains are coming. Sanitation and DEP and other agencies are on board before heavy storms. They go out and sweep the streets with their, you still have the streets.
Yes.
Trucks, right? I don't see that many that often, but obviously wherever you have ASP regs, ultimate site parking regulation, that's to accommodate sanitation coming by to do street sweeping. That helps us also with picking up the debris on the top of the basins. So yeah, if you have one in front of your property, kindly sweep the debris off the top. And if it's draining, it's working properly. Okay, if it's not draining, even when the debris is swept off the top, it may have something wrong with it. So please call it 823-1. We're going to talk about that business more, so we'll have to. The next slide is really just, it's the same thing as the other slide that I talked about sewers, but I just wanted you to see the interior of the catch basin, right? So that's the street flooding one. And this is what a catch basin looks on the inside. And sometimes people will look into them and be like, oh my God, there's debris in them. Yes, they're meant to capture debris and litter and things like that. The water should be drained. That's the priority. So if you notice, water is not draining on the street, it's ponding or creating street flooding, not during the rain, after the rain. It has an issue, okay? But this is the interior, the sewer connection, which ends up connecting to the city, sewer main. Is here. So this is what the interior one looks. This is the grading on the top of the street. It's just an extra. This was.
The water, see,
The debris, no, it's supposed to connect to the city sewer main that way, yeah. It's debris and other things like that. Yeah. typically.
How often? Okay, this is, write your question down.
Yeah,
Okay,
sorry, as we go along, so many slides over here, like trim it and you're not posted, so I'm not fed in. I wanted you to see it all. And then whenever you have questions, you let me know. Whatever you don't want, you can disregard. Catch basin cleaning, so we have about 150,000 citywide, right? We inspect them. And it depends where they're located, right? So commercial areas, we do those more frequently. They're about every 6 months. Typically they're once every 3 years on like residential streets. But then we have, flood prone locations like Marshall Parkway, where we're more proactive. And like I said before, heavy rainstorms, we do go out with sanitation and other agencies and make sure they're draining. Obviously, in the fall, you have the issues of the leaves falling and matting over lots of basins, especially along parkways. So, but that's what that slide talks about. We're proactive. We send staff to inspect catch basins and flood prone areas to make sure they're clean and working properly when heavy rain is forecasted. So, commercial areas, flood prone areas are obviously going to be more frequent than other areas that don't require it that much. And that's where the 311 comes into play. So make sure you report level to 311. Next slide is groundwater flooding. So groundwater is naturally occurring. You can get it close to the water, we have areas like that. But you can also get it off here. I've had many complaints about groundwater. So, obviously when you have heavy rains and sometimes the groundwater ends up coming up through your basement, typically is where you're going to experience the groundwater concerns. If you have basement apartments and things of that nature. So water travels, right? It travels through the cracks in the basement foundation or floor drains. Sometimes when we want to find out where a leak is coming from, right? We'll take a sample, water sample. We look to see, is it groundwater or is it city water? And obviously our water is treated, right? So we can tell if it's going to be city water. The samples is given to our lab. And they will tell us if it's city water, then we know the leak is coming from our water main or your service line, right? If it's groundwater, then we recommend the property owner consult with a contractor or somebody again to see what is best to help them out alleviate that. There is no agency per se that addresses groundwater conditions at the moment. Coastal flooding is my next one, right? So if you live by the water, you obviously get combined with high tide, storm surge can make flooding even worse, right? Coastal flooding can send tidal water back up into the sewer system, and it results if you see manholes overflowing on the streets, catch basins, and sometimes in your own house, you may get your basement connection bringing water in. Tide gates, if you live by the water, tide gates can keep the ocean water out of the system during high tides or storm surge. And we have that in certain locations, we have tide gates. The next slide has to do with the hurricane season. Obviously, we're past that, right now. Hurricane season tends to be June through November. Starts picking up in August when the waters get warmer and hotter, right? And that's what starts. So they're powerful storms that draw their energy from the tropical waters of the Atlantic Ocean. Hurricanes bring high winds, create a storm surge when the winds push sea level higher and over the coastline, causing flooding. Yeah, if you review this presentation, you guys have any other additional questions after I'm done, feel free, email the board, let me know about them. Okay, so what does this do about combating flooding, right? And we have gray infrastructure, we have green infrastructure, we have blue infrastructure regulations and real-time monitoring. So let's go into that. Get the sewer one again. The slide was had that one. We have something called the New York City hydraulic model. So DEP recently completed a citywide hydraulic model of 7,500 miles of sewers in the entire city of New York. Sewer upsizing, if it's a 12-inch pipe and we want to expand it, it's expensive and slow. And this type of modeling, hydraulic modeling, allows us to maximize the potential of the existing system. We can shift stormwater from pipes that are over capacity to pipes with free space. And this allows for smarter, faster, and cost-effective work that can benefit communities. The next slide is green infrastructure. I'm sure you've heard me talk about green infrastructure. Of the rain garden. Also in medians, we'll put green infrastructure. What does green infrastructure do? It absorbs water in the ground in areas that have good soil. It's also beautifying effect. It greens the neighborhood, reduces urban heat island effect, right? Green infrastructure projects reduce street flooding, and they capture stormwater before it enters the sewer system, where in one of those curb cuts, if you look at these rain gardens, they have curb cuts, right? One is positioned, so one is a little higher than the other one. The water will enter into it, and once the rain garden fills up, it starts emptying out on the other curb cut, okay? Which is closest to a catch basin. So gravity-wise, it will empty into the basin. So when we place these, we don't just place them anywhere we feel like it, or if somebody recommends them. We don't really do that. We do walkthroughs with other agencies to make sure that the sidewalk can accommodate them, okay? That there won't be any utility interference, things of that nature, and also that they work like that, right? So you'll have those two curb cuts, the water will enter one and empty out through the other one. Okay. Another thing is movements. We don't hear too many about those in the Bronx. We do have one. I'm happy to say we worked with New York Botanical Gardens that years ago. If anybody remembers Josh Rivera, who used to be at the Botanical Gardens, and he would call me every time it rained, and I'm not talking about the intense storms. It was anytime it rained, Theodore Casimiro Boulevard over there would constantly flood. We did a mini blue belt there, right? So it captures the storm water from the street, and eventually goes into the lake in the pond in the Botanical Garden. So that was a really good project, and it did help. So blue belts divert rainfall away from the sewers. Right, so you have another place where the water is empty. They provide retention, and they're part of the ecological system. The program, the Blue Belt program, we have a whole Blue Belt team at DP. It preserves natural drainage corridors like streams, ponds, and wetlands, and enhances them to convey, store, and filter stormwater. We have about 545 acres of blue belts. Most of them are in Staten Island. We have some in Queens, And the one we have in the Bronx is the New York Botanical Garden. Another thing that we've been doing and we've been adding them around is porous pavement. So porous pavement is you may not realize it may look like cement to you, but it's not. It's special roadway paving and it's designed to absorb and drain rainwater, just like its name alludes to, porous pavement, right? So the city is limited in areas that naturally soak up the rainwater because most paving materials are impermeable or non-porous. Porous pavement now is a tool primarily in residential areas. Over 3 miles of porous pavement was installed last year and we're adding 10 more miles in Bronx. We have them around certain places. If you look, you'll know, I don't have the specific locations here. I think during budget consultations, we may have shared them, but I don't have it right now. It's not too much. It's not too much, but we have it around. Something else we're considering, not necessarily for this community board yet, is cloudburst. We're doing the cloudburst study for Parkchester and Phipps Park. Now, what is cloudburst study? Cloudburst incorporates the porous pavement aspect, right? So if you look at this slide, right, you have porous concrete. If you notice in the parking lane where the cars are, so it does look a little different than the roadway bed. And cloudburst also involves built-in storage, subsurface storage. So underneath the basketball court, underneath a schoolyard. Okay, those are some of the locations that we're looking into. Cloudburst infrastructure captures and holds rainwater from heavy downpours that drop lots of rain in a short amount of time. Cloudburst management projects can use contained spaces normally used for other purposes, like a sunken basketball court, to hold the storm water. They can also use sewer pipes, underground storage tanks, and green infrastructure. So this is a combination. This is a new thing that we've been looking into, cloudburst. Next slide is FloodMed sensors. These are sensors that detect and monitor street flooding. These are regulated by the city agencies. They monitor street flooding real time and give us life-saving information as it happens. We have them in neighborhoods that are vulnerable, typically for high tide, storm surge, and storm water runoff. New York City First Flood Monitoring Network is set to expand. He is spending $7.2 million to install about 500 of these all across the city. We currently have flood sensors in Bronx, Mars Park, Hunts Point, Castleville, and City Island. All right. Something else that's really important is, especially with new development, is the unified stormwater rule. In a couple years ago, DP increased the amount of storm water that new and redeveloped properties must manage on site. Rezonings and development present a huge opportunity to manage storm water on site and reduce demand on the city's drainage system. The unified stormwater rule prioritizes the use of green infrastructure. It has the added benefits of reducing heat island effect and supporting wildlife habitat. Green roofs are another option under the unified stormwater rule. So these are for new developments and redeveloped properties that they have to file with EP depending on how much footage the property is and so forth. There are a lot of regulations on that as well. All right, next, what you can do to protect your home from flooding. Converted basements, so basement apartments, basement properties, sewer backups, bathroom fixtures shouldn't be located lower than the sewer connection, because obviously that prompts sewer backups coming through your drains, through your toilet, through your backups in the basement. Stormwater flooding, basements located at the bottom of a driveway or below sidewalk level are prone to stormwater flooding and groundwater flooding. Something you have to look into also is safety. Exit routes are critical in the event of a flood. Bars on windows trap people in flooding basement apartments. So this is just educational information, something to think about if you have a basement apartment. Something that's also on that brochure for rainfall ready your downspouts, your drains, your roof lines, right? Disconnecting that helps tremendously. When your roof drains are connected to your sanitary line and there's extensive rainfall, right? You are more prone to getting sewer backup. So the agency does recommend you disconnect your roof drains. That's where you would connect, like your rain barrel, right? And have the water drain into that. That alleviates sewer backups by not being also, part of your sanitary line. So disconnecting downspouts from the sewer keeps rainwater out of the system and reduces the likelihood of effects. Direct downspouts away from your building, away from your property, right? You don't want water coming towards your foundation, towards your building. With rain barrels, every summer we've been doing this program for 10 years. We've been involved with it. They're definitely helpful. They come with a kit. They're expensive. They're about $100 at Home Depot. We've been giving them out for free for years now. Again, like I mentioned, connecting your home's gutters to a rain barrel will keep the water out of the sewer and reduce the demand on the system. And you reuse that water for watering your plants, washing your car, etc. We've given in this year 5,500 free rain barrels to New Yorkers. We partner with the Liquid Technique. Something else you can consider for your property if you're prone to flooding, flood sensors. Elevating your belongings so they don't get damaged by flood water. Using flood sensors to alert you when water is entering your basement, right? I don't know if anybody here has flooding and if you get considered a flood sensor. You will put the sensor up or near the floor drain or under the windows if you have outdoor window wells that you end up getting water, and it alerts you, right? It beeps when water's coming in. So we've been giving out this past year is flood barriers, and this is a picture on flood barrier. Flood barriers can be filled with water or sand and reused in storms. You put them obviously by your basement door or a basement window to please where you get water into your house, right? And you would fill them up with water before the storm occurs. Okay, you fill them up with water. After the storm, you empty them out because they're very heavy to move. Should we be doing that again? I'm sure we will. I'm sure we will. This is something new started, and I have to say they're very effective and a big demand for them. Absolutely, yeah. I'll be in touch with the community board and I'll while we're doing that. We did get them out to all council members that, we offered it to all times.
Went later than
Yeah. We have a limited. Something else that you may want to consider is sump pumps, right? Sump pumps are really good with moving water from your basement. It's a device that detects rising water, typically in the basement pit or drain, and pushes it outdoors. Be sure to use pipes or hoses that send temperature feet beyond your building. So you don't want the water emptying storage for the property. So these are all opportunities that you as a homeowner should consider. Okay, another one is sewer check valves. Check valves are really effective in stopping sewage from flowing into your home through toilets and bathtubs during a storm. Whenever you're considering these options, please use a licensed plumber. When you have issues and you're not using a licensed plumber, you cannot sue them, never come back, correct what they did wrong, etc. Another thing, a drain or toilet plug, right? This is a new thing that I had. But apparently they're out there. Toilet plugs can stop sewage backups into your home through your toilet. Drain plugs, also called ripper plugs, stop sewage from flowing into your home through tub or floor drains. Available in any hardware store. I just want to say, I mentioned it here, but DEP gave out flood kits. We gave out 300 flood kits after that August storm. We did it in Bronx neck for the Bronx. We did 1 or 2 in every borough. And there was just a lot of demand for them. We gave out a box that was literally full of everything except for the checkout. Flood barriers, toilet plugs, hoses, sump pump, everything in there. We advertised it in there as well. Had people come from various parts of the Bronx, so I'm happy we gave out 300. We put it probably given out. So it was fun. I hope so. Like so, and I'm gonna request it be in the around. We did one so let's see. If anybody's aware, I've discussed this before, AWR, American Water Resources, is the homeowner education program. Most homeowners and policies do not include coverage for a sewer backup. You can add an optional rider to your insurance policy to cover any damages to your home from a sewer backup. So something to take into consideration. If you don't have AWR coverage, speak to your home. Right? See what they can offer you. The next slide is a program called WAIT. Had it for a couple of years. So WAIT means when there's heavy rain, right? Try not to flush your toilet with a shower or use the appliances. Sometimes it's easier said than done, right? But basically when you have extensive rainfall, in order to minimize the amount of water going into the sewer system, if you don't need to do laundry at that moment, don't do water. You have to use the bathroom, you go use the bathroom, but it's just minimizing the amount of water going into unnecessarily into the sewer system. That's what that means. It's okay, and you can actually download it. The extra water discharge puts a necessary strain on an already taxed sewer system. This is when there's heavy rainfall. So, plan for intense storms. So, monitor the forecast for rainfall much greater than 1.5 inches per hour. Know your evacuation zone. Make sure through notifying NYC, hopefully you have the app. Sign up for notifying NYC so you can get all this useful information, especially in evacuation zones, etc. We also have an online video on how to use flood barriers, sump pumps, things like that. These were the things that we were giving out. It's on our website. And that's it. If you have questions, you can ask us, but you can definitely obviously for it. Sorry.
So that's quite all right. Thank you. Very good information. I hope everyone takes the heart and use it effectively. So I'm going to start with questions from the committee members. Lowell, you have a question?
Yeah, what is the problem with underneath on the major beacon by the Vanport and turnout? That lately has been flooded. It's right by Vanport Park.
Yeah, it was during that other major.
During the
goes
storms
down.
we had.
Yeah, but
it
it
cars floating, major beacon.
Yeah, that's the area, and now we get 2 drops of rain. It seems like that's the first place it falls. I mean, it's up high, and then you go down underneath the
overpass there.
Yeah, Van Cortlandt Avenue, and then it floods, and then it goes up again.
I'm not
is it-
familiar with that specific location,
Oh.
but you can definitely let the community board know.
I'm
As long
sure
as
they
it's
do.
recorded. Is that your district?
It's
The
borderline.
neighborhood. Just let me know if
Mhm.
you have a 311 and we'll look into it. I'll get you the history, what's going on.
Any other questions?
I have a question.
Sure.
The flood net sensors, how exactly does that work if that's all the way up there?
It's electronics,
Electronics?
yes, so we can see real-time data about that.
Oh, so you're actually
Flooding
monitoring and
locations, yeah.
looking at it. It's not
Yeah.
like it reports back to you.
Not
You actually-
necessarily, I don't
okay.
think so, but it's real time. It's a
I
equipment
see.
in there for us to see what's going on.
And how do you determine what locations to put it in?
Flood prone areas typically, if you notice, it says, Bronx next City Island, mostly coastal communities, Castle Hill area. That's where we're starting them, at least in the Bronx, we have them citywide.
And how do you respond to it when it gives you the information that certain areas are starting to flood? What does your department do at that point?
Probably like any other major flooding complaint that we're receiving, we're sending extra personnel over there to see what could be causing it. Are the drains working properly? Sometimes, they get matted over with debris during heavy rainfall, depending on the location. Marshall Parkway, gets a lot of flooding, especially now in the fall with the leaves coming down, matting over. So we would send out additional personnel to see what's going on. Sometimes we just have to stick, believe it or not, just to get the debris off the top and let the water drain.
Okay,
They work,
okay.
but if they're matted over, nothing's gonna be going in, so. Yeah,
So we
And
have
how-
these sensors on the Shula Parkway?
no, wherever it said that we have them, I did not see Marshall Parkway on there, no.
But since we are this prone to flooding, shouldn't one? be
Right.
here?
Well, we're not putting them in every flooding location. What we're doing, like I said, separately, these are new things that we're considering, but regardless of that. We work hand in hand with other agencies for our flood prone areas. So sanitation will go first. We coordinate with them. They go first and clean out the streets, make sure there's no debris and things like that left there. And then we go and inspect the basins, and that's what we typically do with Mafia Harbor, which is a flood location. And we've been doing that for a long time.
Yeah, 'cause
Wait,
it's been
before
flooding for a
flood.
long.
Correct. The cloudburst,
Yes.
where does the storm water go? Once it's. You
So it
collect
goes into, like I mentioned, the porous pavement, right? So it's soaked up. And it's also tanks below ground, underground storage tanks. So it includes green infrastructure, but it's also underground storage tanks, so it stays there. Till the moment, I guess, where it can slowly go back into the sewer and not overwhelm the sewer at the same time. Pouring rain.
And it does this without any influence from human beings. This is sort of a self-system.
Yes.
And do we have any in the Bronx
Yes,
specifically?
oh yeah, it's the Cloudburst is a new initiative that we've been looking at. Specifically for the Bronx, it's Mars Park and Parkchester at the moment that we're looking at.
So those are the new things.
And how will we be able to get Nashua Parkway on that list to get it done?
We're looking at locations to see how well this works.
Okay.
We're basically in design phase right now for this, and so it's not up yet and running. To see, how effective it is and how much more we can do with it. So these are all the new ideas that we're looking.
On the rain gardens, I thought that's before, I don't think we have any in the area. How do we go about? They look great. They seem to serve a good purpose.
Remember, we can put rain gardens only in specific locations. The soil has to be the right mixture, because water has to drain. What the problem with the Bronx is, there's only certain areas we can put them in because of bedrock. So when you have bedrock, you cannot put these. And Carla, we sent the green infrastructure map to each community board. You may want to look at it and see, I don't remember on the top of my head. I know you do have a green infrastructure map, though. I'm not sure how many you already have or what's coming up. But that map showed you. It may not, it may not. Then, like I said, the reason would be bedrock.
We get a lot of that.
Yeah.
Bronx
They
is
said, see,
bedrock.
they're begging for them, but.
Yeah.
You know, so then you look at other projects and see, nitro developments, we partner with them. If they're doing some kind of upgrades and we can put some green infrastructure, we'll do that. If Parks is doing upgrades to their basketball court and there's some kind of green infrastructure measures you can put there, not necessarily a rain garden, but, or a pavement or some other type, we'll consider that.
So these new measures are, not everything is going to be placed in one. It'll be what best is, what's best for that particular area or whatever thing.
To see what kind of data do we get from them, how are they helping us, how can we explore them?
Okay.
So when we look at Harris Field, maybe it's something we should consider redoing.
I'm not sure.
That's a part.
Yeah, I mean, with parks projects, if green infrastructure allows for it to be implemented in there, believe me, they'll know about it already. Yeah.
I think Frisch Field would be a much better idea because that really floods. But that can be done through park, it doesn't have to be done through DEP.
Right.
Parks we put in a red.
Sometimes we'll put funding as well,
Okay.
but you should ask parks projects, are you putting in any green infrastructure with any project? They come here and say, oh, we're doing upgrades here, or we're putting a new park here. Oh, what kind of green infrastructure items will you guys consider?
Okay.
I bet you they'll have something.
Yeah,
They'll have some.
It looks great too, because they have this plan. Yeah, but we don't, like I said, we can't, may not be something we can do in our community. Any other questions before we move on to, Jerry, do you have any questions?
Well, one thing I know, we talked about the 15-foot hose coming out of your property.
Yeah.
But houses are like, what you'd be doing is dumping it on somebody else.
You know your property best, right? So my house is attached on both sides. The backyard is a swimming pool for 3 days after storm slips, right? I can't even put a hose out because I'm attached on both sides. My backyard's attached to the other guy's backyard on the side and in the back. So where do I empty out, right? So not everything can be used by everyone, right? And that is the reason I always tell you, look at your property and see what's best. If your hose can only go out into the street, typically you're not supposed to be emptying out anything into the street, right? But after heavy rainfall, of course, people are gonna be taking out water from their yards or front yards, backyards, whatever it is, you empty it out in the street. The idea of that 10 to 15 feet is not necessarily go to the next guy's property, plug in it. It's to make sure you're taking the water out of your side, right? And putting it in a median spot.
So again, not everything,
Not all this stuff exists for everywhere.
but this is very helpful, because again, you're gonna be able, except for homeowners, and most people here are not homeowners, I am, and I think Rosalie is.
But things to consider for your buildings as well.
Right, exactly, I'm
No,
thinking about that as well, if you have if your building tends to flood or whatever the case is, that would be helpful. Okay, I wanna move along, just like we do have another person here, thank you so much.
I'm gonna get going. If you guys don't need me,
Yeah.
just feel free to reach out to Carla. She's at Flint Spots on
Thank you very much. We're gonna take a little break right now and slow down. Did I give you the executive sheet or no? I
gave it back to you.
Okay.
Yes.
Let me just make sure I have it. We have lots of you. Oh, no, Rosalie signed it. Oh, she
Yeah.
signed it. I just gotta go through the paperwork. Anyway. Okay, so let's move some of this out of the way. We'll keep this and we'll use any excess. We will definitely share a lot of this at our community board meeting, general board meetings. Unless you want to, if you want to take some of this information home with you, let me know if you want to take extras. There's plenty here, and I'm just gonna put this over here. Okay, Joe, you want to join us over here, please? Thank you for your patience. This was very good, and very helpful, that's what, you know. Again, it's ironic that we're in a drought situation, but it's good information to have. There's actually a hurricane out there someplace that may be heading towards, having hit people already. So, you know, we're gonna get better now. Okay, very good, okay, great, what's the presentation? Now.
So what's your last name again?
Bottom and down.
Yeah.
Okay. Great. And again, we'll call the same kind of rules, but I know this one is a little more contentious and we have a lot more questions and issues about this one, so, floor is yours.
All right, so, good evening, everybody. My name is Joe Arnelli with, Sanitation. Chairs. Tonight I have to go over three. So, updates on behalf of sanitation. Those are residential containerization. Taking, set residential containerization, curbside composting, as well as an increase to commercial violations for repeat offenders. Then I'll briefly touch upon each of those, and so everybody gets a little more familiar with what they don't know or what they do, and then we can open it up for any questions anybody may have. So I'll begin with the residential containerization portion of the updates. So as I'm sure everybody is aware of this function, beginning November 12th. Residential establishments, 1 to 9 units, will be required to place their trash out in bins of 55 gallons or less with a secure lid. This is for regular garbage alone. Recycling can continue to be set out as residents have been doing so. Residents have the ability to use their own bin or the official NYC bin, which is available on bin.nyc. In terms of the ordering of the bins, any bins ordered through bins.nyc before October 1st, we're guaranteed delivery by November 12th. After October 1st, it'll be on the it will be delivered on a rolling basis through the fall collects. It's available on the site, but it's roughly
So 50 seconds down.
and there's a 35 gallon and a 45 gallon purchase. And the customers will receive an email, will receive an update approximately, will receive a notification before the delivery is ordered, before their order is delivered. There's gonna be a,
Question.
yes,
Will they deliver to your house or do you have to pick it up?
it's delivered to you, yes. There's a warning period for the residential containerization, for those, as this takes effect. That'll be from November the 12th to January 2nd, 2025, after which on January 2nd, 2025, well, violations will be issued. It'll be $50 for the first offense, $100 for the second offense, and any third subsequent offense after that will be $300. Service of the bins, empty bins must be removed by the curb 9 p.m. The day of collection. And regarding the storage of the bins should be stored in the rear yard within property boundaries. If space is not available, residents may store their bins within 3 feet of the building. I want to just move on to the next one. Again, I know we'll have more questions on that, but as we get along, I'll be happy to touch base. The next portion of updates is regarding curbside composting. So beginning October 1st of this year, 2024, curbside composting expanded to Bronx, Manhattan, and Staten Island. Residents required compost and being collected on their recycling day. What the compost? So everybody has clarity on that. I did provide the details to Betty. She'll distribute those later, but just so everybody has clarity on that. What's the compost? All leaf and yard waste, food scraps and food soil papers, things not to compost, recyclables, trash, diapers or hygienic products, animal waste wrappers, and packaging or foam products. Regarding the lining of these bins, residents can choose to line or not line their bin with a clear or plastic paper, clear bag, plastic bag, paper bag, or biodegradable bag. They can with that, it's like I said, it's up to the discretion of the resident. Obviously, very encouraged to line the bin. Fines are the same for failure to recycle properly. They can range from $25 to $400 on the side of the building. And there will be every building starting that has composting as this expands. Can use their own bin or the brown bin, which they can order on nyc.gov/curbside composting. And they can also obtain a composting bin, a bin decal at nyc.gov/composting bin decal. If in terms of the buildings that recommends regarding larger scale buildings, all buildings with curbside composting are required to compost their leaf and yard waste. So owners of buildings with 4+ units must provide a storage area for residents to basically be able to compost it. And the other point of update I wanted to make was regarding commercial violations. Beginning on 12/19 of this year, 2019, fines for repeated commercial offenders from violations pertaining to cleaning related offenses, failure to bring just in the curb, dirty area conditions. There will be increase in fines for those. So the first offense is $50. The second offense is $300. And the third and subsequent offense beyond that is $500. I'm sorry. Yes, that's sanitation. And those offenses are within a rolling year. So those are I also wanted to make note that regarding backtracking on the composting for a second. There will, as it expands to the Bronx, Manhattan, on Staten Island, there is a 3-month grace period. But in the spring, there will be a violation for mixing yard waste and food scraps with regular trash. And that's the updates I have. I'd be happy to open up the floor for questions or whatever capacity.
So first,
Okay, what if you, and maybe this is Tracy too, what if you live in a building where you put your recyclables? There isn't any space for a compost unit.
Okay.
And you have to go downstairs. And we have where they composting room, regular trash place, is locked when there's no one there to manage it. Are they required to have a unit outside of the regular trash room to put your compost in?
On the premise?
On the premise,
Yeah.
are you? Then if I have composting that I've done in my own.
Yeah.
And it's only open between 8 to 5. And I work those hours.
Of course, yeah.
What am I supposed to do then?
Yeah, again, if it's an issue with how the property is maintained, with accessibility issues, of course, the onus would obviously be to coordinate with the property manager for that accessibility related. I could definitely bring back to see what other guidance I can follow up on to convey to Betty and the board, but if it's an issue strictly on the maintenance of how the waste and recycling is managed on the property itself and accessibility wise, that would fall under the onus of the property manager.
Okay, because I live in a co-op.
Of course.
And we have union porters.
Yeah.
And they have set hours.
Yeah.
8 to 4.
And then beyond that, if you're working, there's.
Yeah, and the door is closed.
Yeah.
Now in each floor, there's a trash room.
Yeah.
Now there's a chute that goes downstairs. We have space where we put our paper for recycling.
Yeah.
And then our regular bin to put in our, recyclable bottles.
Gotcha.
Okay, there's no more space, literally, to put anything else in to hold compost.
Yeah, I definitely understand that, and I'll bring that back to see what I can find on my end and convey that to the board for follow up. Yes.
Well, my building, my answer would be for my building, they say they don't have spaces. If we're gonna do the composting, we'll have less garbage, so you put in a ground bin instead. Or do you use a regular bin that we have already, just labeled for composting?
Yeah, so that's the other option too. So you have the just to add to that. In the event that the brown bin it doesn't suffice with accommodating the entire unit, and this is for any residential capacity, or if people aren't able to obtain the brown bin, they are able to utilize another bin, just mark it compost and or with the compost decal. But again, I understand your particular concern. I'd be
It's
happy.
a space.
Yeah.
Right, but if you switch it out, we're gonna have less regular garbage if you truly gonna do.
No.
What do you mean, no? I've been doing composting for years.
But I mean, in your recyclable bin,
Yeah,
it's round. And it's the aluminum foil, it's all the cans.
we're talking about the new,
No, I'm talking about recyclable unit.
okay, all right, you're not talking about the new, the compost.
I think you're alluding to how your
Yeah, I think
unit's set up as is,
As
and
is.
there's no there's not immediate accessibility for users.
For compost.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
So my big issue is that I know you did a mailing,
Mhm.
I spoke to my management, I sent them emails, they're still doing nothing about it.
Again, like I said, there's that, it just, expanded recently for, there are 3 boroughs in Bronx, Manhattan, Staten Island, and there is that. Period for, violations which, for enforcement. Beyond that, there will be violations, but if it's locations that are, that are problematic, that aren't enforced, so we can keep them on the radar if you would like to. I can give you my information, we can coordinate with the board, just so that's, as that takes effect, we can have an increased presence there.
And then just one last question.
Yes.
Weren't you were offering a free bid to building before, right?
Yeah, that's still, that's,
Still available. It
yeah.
is still, it says a free label, but you.
the bid, I could give you the exact
Well, then
website, so you
do,
have it right here.
Because I think that might help, but I thought there was a deadline. before-
October 1st, I think it was.
Yeah,
available
that was, to get it,
For free.
before the established date, then it'll be on roll.
Oh,
So it'll still.
Yes, and
Okay,
if
so
you're in
brown
those 3
bin,
boroughs.
a brown bin is still available
for free.
for free.
And you
Okay.
could get that at NYC, if you want anyone to put that,
Yeah.
NYC.gov / curbside compost.
Just before you do that, just before Jean, enforcement in the larger buildings, like, like Colleen's building or maybe Lowell's or whatever. How is that going to be handled? Is that by complaint, or you are going to, or someone going to go out to see if there is curbside compost and collection being done, and so.
Yeah, I
There's a
would,
lot of-
in terms of how it'll be handled at a district level, I would definitely, bring that back to see how we intend to, what the process will be in that regard, but I will definitely look into that.
And Lowell, maybe your management or whatever, there is those information sessions, there's online with the virtual.
Yes, there.
And there's a virtual session that maybe you can bring back to your management. And they can review it and then determine how they're going to, manage including a bid for you for composting. And how to get around the time frame that, you can't put your compost after 5 o'clock. Some people can freeze it, you can freeze it until the next day and then put it in the.
But it's still the same problem.
Yeah, but if you're working, right, if you're
Yeah.
working, right, so I'm saying, there's ways that, they're gonna have to do something about that,
I
because,
would say also, I know the major issue here is having accessibility on
Right,
the
exactly,
residential
right.
establishment itself. As I'm sure you're well aware, there are the other options with the drop-off sites as well as the sanitation, NYC, the smart bins, the orange.
bins,
Yeah,
yeah.
you scan them and you're able to discover, but again, I know I can look to try to see how we can, work towards you managing on your residents alone, instead of
Because
having to leave
I
to
have
go. and
talked
do
to my super.
Yeah.
And we're 2 units, 6 floors in each, and he's got 1 orange bin.
Yeah.
For the whole building,
Yeah,
He's
well,
building.
that's the other thing is that,
and he's afraid he's gonna need another one.
well, so yeah, if there's a need for additional, like I said, if there's a need for additional bins, they can, as she had mentioned, you can use a regular bin of 55 gallons or less with a lid, and just mark it compost or use the decal, and they're on the same site where they have the bins for the residential official NYC bins, they have brown bins available for purchase, but again, you have that option of, the property manager has the option of utilizing both if there's a need for additional bins to accommodate the amount of.
One moment, let me take the committee member first, and then I'll take your question. Go ahead.
I'm still confused about high-rise buildings, because I live in a high-rise building. So we are typically 41 stories, we 871 apartments. The same thing with Lowell. There is no space on each individual floor to put a composting bin. Then my other complaint would be, I live in front of the compactor room. I don't want no composting bin in front of my apartment door. So then you were saying, and my understanding of what you're saying is that the tenants would be responsible to take the compost downstairs and put it in a bin. So they probably could find space where the garbage is picked up to put a composting bin there. but then you're putting the onus on the tenants to come down 41 stories
Of course.
and carrying garbage on the elevator and put it in a bin.
Yeah.
That ain't gonna work.
Yeah, I, in the management of it, I can definitely, because it coincides, I'll definitely bring that back to see what, where the storage of that would be feasible to convey back to the board.
Because I've had conversations with, I'm the president of my building. So I've had conversations with management about this nuisance that he brought it to, sanitation. That this is what's gonna happen. And then it's asking me, well, how's it supposed to work? I can't think of a logical way it's gonna work. So somebody from the sanitation department is gonna have to explain this in high-rise complexes. The same, I would guess, for Co-op City or places like that have a lot of floors, a lot of tenants. How is this supposed to work? You can't get people to just throw out regular garbage properly. And now you're telling them to freeze what should be composted and then get on the elevator with me. And then if we get stuck on the elevator, I'm stuck with you with compost garbage.
Yeah, definitely, for the particulars of set out, I'll provide you my information, and we'll follow up to.
Yeah,
Fine.
yeah, because I don't get it.
Yes.
So, and then mentioned foam product. I know about the meat, I know about the vegetables, about the paper. You can also.
No, I was saying that that's not supposed to, I was saying items not to replace it, I was just listing items not to, yeah. Yeah, that's okay.
I have a question, Betty, before we move on. How often do you do pickups? I do know that in the office, pickup happens 3 times a week.
Yeah, it's.
So I do see how I could probably manage to not produce so much waste so we can set out in that container. For a building, the amount of garbage that a building produces, it just seems like, you will be saving space, but putting a pile of bags. But now in containers, I'm just thinking, how many containers would a building
Are you
need to
speaking
actually?
Specific to the compost still?
No, this is just regular,
Yeah.
just for the container,
Yeah.
containerization of garbage.
Containerization for buildings exceeding the 9 units, they'll be placing their trash out as they've been doing. It'll still be how the property's been placing out. This is strictly 1 to 9 units.
1 to
If something
9
changes on
units.
that, we will obviously coordinate with the boards and the public, but this is relative to just 1 to 9 units. So
And-
however they're placing your trash out, that they can continue to do so.
And is that also for businesses? 'Cause I have noticed, when you walk out in the
Commercial
community,
establishments as of
their
March.
bins are they're just piling it on, and then
bins
the
are
top of the bin is
closed.
not even closed, it's just opened, and then that has attracted a lot more people that walk by to just place.
Commercial establishments
waste.
are required to be placing their trash out in containers as of,
With a lid, right?
yeah, with a lid out of March 2024.
And does the garbage also gets picked up 3 times a week, or is it
That's
daily?
relative to, that's the,
That's commercial, they have
their own
contractors,
for
yes.
private.
Yeah, commercial properties and their garbage is not picked up by sanitation, it is,
Mhm.
they have a contract with a with
Yeah.
a hauler.
Mhm.
My last thing is just remember that curbside composting is picked up, it is put out on the same day as your recycle.
Mhm.
So it's once a week. Recycling, so it goes up same day as your recycle, the other recycling.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry, let me just,
Yeah.
fine, I wanna give this.
yeah, she had it for you,
Yeah.
so.
So this is, we probably answered it already, it's a twofold question. Is the composting mandatory for my management? Does my management have to have a compost bin?
So the composting is required, they can place it out in a brown bin or like I said, a bin. Marked composter with a decal that they don't have to use the brown bin, but it have to be in.
They have to have a
And
compost.
it's mandatory, is it mandatory?
Yeah.
So
What do you have, a building?
I live in a 5-story, 20 apartments.
Okay.
20 apartments. So I'm just wondering because I want to do it. And I actually have some neighbors that have their compost bin already. But now the question is the management going to abide by these new rules? And if not, how can we get them to get us a bin for the compost?
Yeah, so
And we have an incinerator, so
all other trash goes in there.
So as plan, as compost expanded and there's that grace period for, any residential establishment to ultimately abide by it. There's non-compliance, there'll be, if there's food scraps observed mixed with irregular waste in the building, there'll be, or yard waste mixed with regular trash. That they'll be subject to violations once those go into effect in the spring. So, that'll be the onus essentially, I would say, for complying.
And those bins they keep the odor in?
Yeah, that's how
There's, yeah, I've seen them, but
Oh, you're speaking about the compost bins.
the compost bins, the
that
ones
is
that you
correct.
guys, okay.
Yeah.
So what we would hope is that people not just dump their food waste, but put it in a bag. And then bring
Makes
it
sense.
down and put it in, like I have 2-family house, so my tenant and I line it, I line my compost, my bin. And then we put I have compostable bags in the house. And that's where my food scraps go, and then I put it in the bin, so I don't throw, some people can, right, but I don't recommend it. Put it
Well,
in
it
a
would make
bag,
more sense
yeah,
doing it
just
like
put it in
that,
a
yeah.
bag, and then every once in a while it needs to be cleaned, to
keep
get
the odor out.
You were
outside.
saying that they throw it in just without anything, right?
Yeah, some
Yeah,
people
so
do.
like I was saying, you have the option of, it's up to the discretion of the property manager to line the bin or not. Obviously, it's encouraged because, you're just throwing all that waste into the bin, just dirtying it. Yeah, yes.
I live across the street from a public school.
Yeah.
And I think they have totally separate rules and regulations
For
trash disposal.
I don't think it's.
What do you
They
mean,
must
what
bin it
in
too.
particular, what in particular?
Yeah.
I mean, they throw out milk containers in clear plastic bags.
Yeah, we're working with schools we're talking about the residential containerization portion at this point, or are you talking
No,
about?
just in general. I'm voicing my concerns, and you're an appropriate person, but they have bins and they have 80 million, I'm exaggerating, 80 million containers, but the container lids are never closed.
Yeah, as right now, we are working with schools as November 12th for the containerization. The schools will be required to containerize trash as well. The date, November 12th is the beginning of it, so as they're placing it out as they have been prior to that, would technically suffice, but by November 12th, they are, the schools will be required to containerize their trash as well.
But a milk container is a recyclable,
Yeah.
and so that can stay in a plastic bag.
Okay,
That's not,
Clear bid.
that's a clear bag.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what that
but
goes
it
in.
really bothers me is they throw it up and they never have enough containers because they stuff all in their, yellow containers, and there's this much stuff on top and they never close.
Yeah,
Right,
so-
those are the compostable ones.
Yeah,
what
and they're
it's-
never closed, they're always open. And then the rats in our neighborhood and the squirrels and the skunks
yeah, they should, they,
have a great feast.
as that, as the plan for residential for trash becomes takes effect for the containerization portion. That they will be required to have as many containers to accommodate the amount of trash they generate.
Okay.
Yeah,
Now, if I give you 6 months, who do I call? 311?
yeah. 3-1's always the first, because that would get triaged to the departments appropriately for us to follow accordingly.
Okay.
So just for, I'm sorry, what's your name?
Nicosa.
Nicole, oh, so.
It's me.
So a good thing for you to do is the link for there's information sessions. Gonna refer you to that one so you can give it to your management on how to do the.
Wish me
curbside-
luck.
I know, curbside but as Joe is saying, the incentive is gonna be, they're gonna be fined.
Yeah, and I'm going to provide, because I know there's like kind of a correlation with the questions here, so on that particular.
Yeah, that's why I said it's kind of been answered.
Yeah, so
but-
I want to follow up on that accordingly, so everybody is on the same page on that regard. So I'll provide my information at the end of it with my card, so everybody has anything, they can reach out to me directly.
Great,
Okay.
okay, I have one more, then cereal.
Are you getting more help? Because it sounds great to give out fines and do it forcefully, but Bronx is not great with recycling.
More manpower. You
Yeah,
can
how
take
is
this-
it gonna be really enforced?
Well, we have adequate manpower to service at the moment, but in terms of enforcing this,
Yes.
we we do have our,
getting around.
yeah, we do have
visiting.
our officers observe during, collection and to see that these set out is in accordance with
You get his information
regulations.
back to me.
I
Can I
definitely
call you or
I
email
follow
you?
up for further detail in regards to the moving forward for the council as
So they will
violations.
be there when the garbage is set out.
Yeah.
You have a.
That's a- give you a little more- yeah.
Thank you, I just don't call, so I gotta get.
Yeah, yeah.
Just remember that, just like when we did recycling, which was how many years ago, I don't know how long, we kind of got used to it, this is going to be a. There's a learning curve on this one, and in this case, within sometime in the spring, there's gonna be, this is right now the carrot. The stick is gonna come when the fines are going to be imposed on buildings, but again, there are, there are details around issues about accessibility and staff that can be available to open up where trash is collected, and issues like a building like yours. I mean, it's like, I can't imagine, something
The
like
Tracy
that.
Tower right up the block, those are the
Yeah,
two big tall buildings.
No, right, 40.
And there's 41 stories on one side and 38 stories on the other side.
But I'm sure that this is the
But
case
how
for
it's
all
supposed
the
And that
large
means
buildings
for
throughout
all
the
large
city.
buildings,
Yeah,
how is it
yeah.
really supposed
This is
to
going to
work?
be an issue, and that's just the composting. We
Yeah.
haven't even dealt with the containerization when that's going to happen with some of these buildings. Because it doesn't seem fair that small units, residential buildings are doing containerization, and then yet I live next to a very large building and they're gonna still continue to put out plastic bags, while I'm dealing with that situation in my area, a couple of feet down, rapid piecing on black bags that are put out by the building next
We
to.
have metal containers where they put the regular garbage in, because we have chutes.
Okay.
So since we're on high floors, like I'm on the 27th. So composted garbage, I always wrap it up in a bag. And I throw the bag down the chute. Cause we have recyclable bin in there to put the recyclable bin stuff in there, like bottles and cans and stuff like that. But now, the stuff that I've been throwing down the chute, which they pick up in the cellar and put in the
Black
metal
bags.
containers,
Metal
right?
containers.
And because they have metal containers there, so now they would have to separate this somehow. And put it in a separate brown bin. I mean, we do have staff, we have 24-hour staff, but I still don't see how that would work on the size of the building, like I said, Tracy or Concourse Village, or, some of the tall buildings, River Park Towers. I don't see how that's gonna work in buildings of that size, that it has to be a different plan
Yeah.
to work out like I'm saying, people are not gonna take that garbage downstairs and put it in some
Of course, yeah.
composting bin. That ain't gonna ever happen.
I mean,
And I'm gonna be
it
going
may
in
eventually,
that.
it may eventually, I mean, this is a lot of this is really relying on personal responsibility to do this. And I know we're not there yet, I know we're not there yet. Anyway, Sirio has a question.
Got quite a few. All right, first thing, on paper, it was fantastic. When we include the human element of it falls apart. But luckily, they could pass your proposal there for patient to do their own enforcements. The bin, as of November 12th, we gotta put bins out.
Yes.
Now, does that mean now I no longer have to put it in a bag? I just throw it right into the bin, the garbage? Free of a plastic like that?
It should be,
Why are you saying no? I'm saying, what did they didn't say, they didn't specify that.
it should be instructed, the garbage has to be in a bag.
Doesn't say that. If you read the way it was sent to people, it says now use the bin. It doesn't say here, it didn't say put the black bag into the bin. So therefore, people are gonna save on the money, because they gotta buy the bins from you. So I'm not gonna buy a bag since I got a bin. They're gonna throw it in. Okay, what happens if me, I'm a private seller, I have, what's going to happen is, let's say my bin is full to the top.
Yeah.
They're gonna now the garbage is taken out, we're gonna put a bag on top. Is that gonna be considered illegal, or the bin is full? What's the story?
There should be
How's that
enough,
supposed to work?
containers to accommodate as much trash as general. So with the exception of like bulk items, but that can't fit, that would be the exception.
Now, I'm the janitor for the church. Okay, I sent them all this information and they have yet to supply me with more bins. Now, I'm only allowed to put out the bins, correct?
For churches, you're asking?
House of worship,
House of worship will have.
have to contain it and the compost and everything. Okay, what am I supposed to do? If I put out the bags out, I get a ticket, so I gotta leave them there and just put the bins that they supply me with?
Do they come, are they under the less than, 9 unit?
No, houses of worship was written into the law, must obey.
No, I'm not saying that they're not, I'm saying is it, how do we, are they? Needing to do this now, or do they have,
Is there like an extended time period for
Yeah.
houses? It's no, would be November 12th.
okay,
Yeah.
all right, okay.
I'm so sorry.
Compost.
Yes.
Okay,
No, but let me, I like your question, I want to just
oh, which
say
one was
it
it?
about the church, I just want to make sure, so all houses of worship. Have to put out a container. Have a container.
Every bag's got, well, you can put more than one bag, if they get a container.
Right,
bigger.
no, I'm
Yeah,
saying.
with regards to the house of worship, I would definitely, I'd like to get a little bit, bring that back to you.
Because I know sometimes the city, they're a little, with houses of worship, I know that sometimes they kind of like,
Yeah, because obviously there's larger scale churches and
Right,
there's smaller.
St. Patrick's Cathedral,
Yeah,
and then
and
there's.
that's why,
there's
I
the-
definitely bring that back so we can have a little more clarity.
And under that, this church, storefront churches, are they considered house of worship, or are they considered,
Commercial.
That's what I was
Yeah,
that's what I was
yeah.
alluding to, a smaller scale relative to a larger St. Patrick,
Yeah.
so, yes. So, I definitely bring that back, so we have,
I mean, they get their garbage picked up by CSNY.
yeah, so if it's picked up by DSNY,
They have to
containerization,
comply.
but, in terms of the extended particulars, I'd be happy to bring that back.
All right, go ahead.
Now, businesses were told to put it, to get a bin for all their garbage.
Mhm.
Now, up and down the streets, all you see are bins chained to lampposts, traffic signs, every bin is out there. The so-called rule is you bring it out and you bring it back to your property. That is not being enforced. You said you have the manpower, how many tickets have been given out for those people who are not filing?
Do you have a stretch where you're alluding to?
yes.
Every stretch.
Yeah.
Right out the front door, across the street at Dunkin' Donuts on the corner.
Oh, yeah.
All along Bainbridge, all
At
along,
Decatur
every bin is a
and,
store.
Or Sweet.
The bin is tied to the trees, tree fences, lamp posts, traffic poles, bike racks,
Yeah.
and it stays out there forever.
We could definitely, bring that back to our report.
I mean, the other, in their defense, in some of these places, they do not have any place to put it in. If they're attached, well, they don't have any place inside, let's say.
What did they do with the original garbage before that?
They would have it
bags.
probably in their basement and then bring up the bags and bring it out. So where do you put,
The bin's got wheels.
yeah, but
Now we take them
they,
down.
not all of them have that. I mean, some people just. Does that include like a beauty parlor or?
This is, yeah, any commercial establishment.
But a lot of them don't have even that. Sometimes I don't see commercial properties having even a bin out. Or even, I don't know where they put their garbage, either they take it with them someplace else, or they put it on the corner. With the
Trash cans.
The trash can on
Yeah.
the corner, I've seen that. So I'm just curious, I'm assuming that every single commercial. Entity has to have a contract, right? To have their garbage.
For. Sorry.
Um,
For commercial related issues, I'd be happy to bring that.
So we need to, that's
speak to
where
that.
a lot of this is.
Yeah.
You also have the sticker in the window saying that you have a commercial center, that the Italians coming to pick up the private garbage.
Yeah, it's whatever, I mean, that we need to follow up on,
Yes.
because that is, I have a bodega on Webster and Shul Fifth. That continues to use a trash can without a lid, fills it up as much as she can, and then they have other bags. That are around it that, are going to be food for rats or whatever, and we don't have any way of.
In terms of the storage bins and unfortunately, definitely
Yeah,
look.
and like I said, I'm not defending all of them, but clearly they do have issues, and you're right, and so then these bins and now are permanently stationed on our sidewalk.
Yes,
Okay,
understood.
okay.
So, going back to the bag again. So you're telling me you're supposed to put the black bag tied up in the trash?
Yeah, a bag should be, the trash should be placed out in the bag inside the.
Now, we thoroughly read this, I didn't see that. It said place your garbage, you didn't place all trash, it didn't say place your black bag trash, that's gotta be specified.
Understood, yeah.
That's a good
Because-
point, that's a good, I mean, I'm assuming
You're
it's done, but you're right, we don't want people to then. There is a couple of, I'm thinking now of a couple of houses further down from me where they're using the old, like an old trash without a lid, and I think what I'm seeing in there is just trash thrown in there. So when the crew comes, they're
Stop
gonna,
it.
yeah, so.
Understood, yeah.
We don't want that, because what, it doesn't have a lid, so that just becomes another place for rats to go in,
Yeah.
they can climb in, eat whatever they want.
Raccoon haven.
Yeah, exactly, so I think some of this, you need to go back.
So
and-
yeah, I got that, we could definitely bring that, because there was discrepancy, I mean, in the bit, in my specific points too, that I spoke about with regards to lining the bin or not lining the bin, obviously it's encouraged to line the bin, but in terms of how the trash is like that should be continued to be placed in the bag, but I understand your point of the specifications, I got to bring that back.
Yes,
And to Cyril's point about if you have your bin, you have one of these 55-gallon bins, you've had a party or whatever the case may be, you have extra bags, you cannot, it has to fit.
It has to be, you have to have X amount of bins to accommodate X amount of trash. The other option to that is if, some people, if you have a party and you're gonna need 10 bags worth of 10 containers worth of trash, that's obviously not everybody has that at their disposal. The other option would be to break down the to set out your trash, break up your set outs.
So the crew is not gonna pick it up.
If it's not a
If
container.
if it's on the bag on the sidewalk next to your container, they're gonna take the container and leave the
Yeah,
bag.
it has to be, any trash has to be contained.
That's,
that's what I was saying.
that's
not gonna happen.
Don't put it out there.
Well, that was, I was gonna say, so it's either, you have, the residents have enough containers to, accommodate the trash or break up.
It's all about the amount of waste that you produce.
Yes,
We're
yeah,
3 in the office, we produce 5 bags
of trash or recyclable
trash.
trash, really?
Yes.
Wow. I'm surprised, we see a lot of paper and stuff. as well.
No, we have paper too. I mean, sanitation has left the paper behind, and then I have called them and I said, like, you didn't put in a clear plastic bag.
Right,
And I was like, whoop.
Quick question, Betty. Like, we're talking now, like I say, a building like Tracy Towers is Amazon Central.
Mhm.
So you have all of these cartons of, delivery cartons that they deliver all of the stuff in. That's kept separately.
right,
From the regular garbage and compostable stuff.
right.
So is there a rule for that?
But recycling is, if recycle, I was speaking, when we talk about the towers, that was relative to compost, their trash set out and their recycling set out is the same, as they've been doing so. And if recycling is the same for residential establishments, even for within that 1 to 9 unit threshold, this is relative to just regular, refuse.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you don't
But
have to-
Jean, to your point, sanitation did tell me that I should break down my boxes, line them all up, and then tie them up.
Yeah,
And then you
Put
set,
them
you
right.
set it up.
Because they do keep all of the.
You don't need to
the
put those in
boxes
plastic.
and
No.
whatnot separately.
Yes.
But the problem is this, they don't always tie those boxes together. And a heavy wind will come by and they float like kites all over the place, through
That's
the
an
street,
issue.
across the street to the park. And we complain, I've come home one day and the wind was blowing, it was raining and the boxes are flying into people's cars, flying into people sitting on the bus stop. And then, I go in and complain to the management, if y'all will do something about that, I'm gonna make sure sanitation come here and give y'all tickets.
Right, no,
Because
that
you can't
is
do that.
the
Oh,
management's responsibility. So remember,
But
this
that's
is
just supposed to be the
right.
regular, whatever it always
Right.
was.
you use bags or it's tied up or whatever. For recycling, that's different from what we want is what you would put in a black plastic bag, just like whatever you can't recycle and what you can't compost goes into that black plastic. Okay.
And to Sirius' point, you do want to line your garbage can because you don't want to
always
have
have to
any
line that.
smells lingering around. I know sometimes things spill out and then we have to wash
Well,
it.
you gotta remember,
It's
when you're in the house, you got your trash can in your house that's lined.
Right.
So you come out with that little bag, now the paper bag, whatever you use it in a house. So you got the bin now, why should I put a black bag in there? Just throw all those in there, even though they're backed up.
Yeah.
You know,
So is that allowable?
So you're saying if
Yeah.
you're, like the liner, they just take the liner, basically, that's in your,
In there.
in your garbage. bin.
Yeah.
I mean,
No, what he's saying is
All
that
right,
he has
you
a
don't
bunch
have
of
a
little
55
bags.
gallon garbage bag in
Say
your
13
house.
gallons.
Okay,
Right.
you got a small waste.
The 13 gallon.
13 gallons,
Yeah, 30, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And then you bring it out to the front or the back of the house and you keep filling that one up for Tuesday or Thursday or Friday, Saturday. And then you tie it off and you drag it out to the front. Now I gotta roll it out. So why should I put a bag in there? I'm rolling it out.
So he's talking about what's in the container would be these 13 gallon white bags.
the bags that you have in your house.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so you don't, again, he doesn't have to, and then he was alluding to the bins that the garbage bin that you have outside that he's wheeling
right,
out. So
right.
that bin doesn't have to be lined, it's encouraged to be lined, as Carlo was mentioning, it, because obviously you wanna keep the bin clean, but if that's up to the discretion of the property.
But what he is saying is he has 10 little bags at home. He
Yeah.
takes those 10 little bags and puts it in the big bag, roll that outside. How is sanitation gonna handle that? Sanitation just gonna take every little bag out, or is they just gonna take
I think
lift
it's
it
going to
and
be
throw
lifted,
it?
Yeah, right, well, the trucks will eventually be retrofitted with tippers.
I see,
Yeah,
okay.
so, as that takes effect, it'll be the service as a.
So the crew, because I haven't even watched what they do, so they open up my container and they lift it and put it in, or they're taking out, in my case, I have black bags.
They're taking out the bag.
They're taking
They'll
out
take
the
the
bag.
bags out, or they may work together to tip it,
And tip it.
whatever.
Yes, what I mean, are they gonna roll the container to the truck, dump it in, and then?
Whatever is,
walk it back?
however,
Oh my God.
if there's accessibility for them to wheel the bins out, there could be cars.
There's a
Cars
lot
up-
of parked
obstructing that
cars.
particular day, they may have to take the bags out. This is all, situation.
Right, so what happens now when my bin disappears?
Gotta buy a new
Yeah,
one.
it's up in-
Gotta buy a new one.
So if
That's why a lot of people don't have bins. They don't
So if a
wanna.
bin's stolen, the bins have a portion on the side that can be specified for, your name, and your address.
That won't stop somebody from
And
walking
then-
off with your
And then
bin,
there's the
rolling
other
off with
option
your
of if the
bin.
bin's stolen, we encourage residents to file a police report.
Or can you use the metal ones? Cause the guy next to me has stupid old metal.
Oh,
garbage
old
bins.
Yeah,
metal
so
ones.
residents can use either the official NYC bin or a bin that they have right now with a secure lid, which is 55 gallon size. But by up until June 2026, by then they'll have to have the official one.
So for
Because
2
this-
years, they have this
Right.
grace period.
Yes, as long as the trash is in a container, either the official bin or a bin of your choice with a secure lid.
Including metal?
That's.
So you have to.
It has to be on wheels?
Have to be officially.
So no, so what happens to the building next, because I've gone past your house, so you have these, your.
He's got 6 apartments there, he only got 3 cans. Which the rats are. They don't compost, so the rats are coming into my property all the time, they find. They drag the food into my property and they eat it like shit, they go.
So does he do now, does he bring out the bins to the front, to the
Yeah.
side?
Oh, no, the guy pulls out the bags, but now that he has to keep it in the bins, he's just gonna drag those metal cans.
Right,
He ain't gonna buy new ones, cause he hasn't even bought new ones.
okay, fine, so that's what he's
So you
gonna
don't
have to
need
do.
real.
I have one question. When are the new sanitation trucks coming around? The ones that could pick up the new bins that.
Not in your lifetime. I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, as the bins are, as the bins.
Right.
Acquired by June 2026,
They'll have new sanitation
yeah,
trucks.
I don't have this.
And or retrofit.
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't have the specific date as to when,
Okay.
but by June 2026, those official bins are required, yeah.
Okay, so.
And what is the Department of Sanitation advising people to, what should they do so that their bins are not stolen
You
overnight?
know what I'm gonna do? I have 2 neon spray cans, a pink and a yellow, and I am going to decorate.
That
my
doesn't
bin.
mean they won't take your bins and take it across town.
Taken for the decoration.
There's nothing that can be done, I mean, I can't change my,
Right.
I can bring my bin into my driveway.
But I'm just wondering, do they have a schedule when they will be in your neighborhood to
Oh, you
pick
mean
up?
the delivery?
to pick up your, no, to pick up your bin.
Pickups, what time pickups happen?
So this way, before you go to bed at night, you could pull your bin back in.
Talk to your sanitation person, my super knows that he has a 4 hour time frame
Mhm.
from like 8 o'clock to noon.
For your services.
on
12
services,
noon, yeah.
so
12
he
midnight.
gets his staff to come in and 6:30, he's putting them out. And then he knows, and then at like 12:30, he's there to bring them back into the building.
Right, that's what I'm saying. How do you,
You don't know.
It's- it's
When-
different
when
times,
garbage
yeah.
picks up, do you know when your garbage is picked up?
normally it's picked up by 2 a.m.
Yeah, same.
But then the
No,
other day, they didn't pick them up at all.
Yeah,
Right, because of the
So-
holiday. No.
yeah.
Yesterday was election day, it was garbage.
Today, yes.
Yeah.
today.
Last night, I heard them, I didn't put anything out yesterday knowing that they weren't gonna come until the evening, so I put it out after 8 o'clock. And then I was up till very late. And I could hear them coming up and down the block, so in the morning, my bin is, the lid is open and I just drag it back in. You're right, it's not something you feel comfortable with,
Right.
but that's what it is, it's whenever they pick up your garbage. Sometimes it's early and sometimes it's delayed, and
Not a-
it is I mean, I get concerned, I look out the window, if I'm there, and if I see that my bin the lid is open, I quickly bring it back
Bring it back
inside.
in, right?
It's been good so far, but I think that's gonna be an issue.
But
People are
that's
going
why a
to
lot of the
complain.
stores have their bins
Chain,
unchained.
Yeah, they have.
Because
chain.
they've lost it already. People have come and just walked away with their bins.
Right.
And
Well, not like-
go away with it.
Exactly, and they're not cheap. I mean, they're $60 every time you have to replace it.
Yeah, I mean,
So-
if in the event, you know, when it's not your scheduled collection day, and whereas.
Right.
If you're in compliance with the right, accepted storage locations.
Mhm.
It's not, you are able to change the bin there,
Right.
but and on your scheduled collection day, it
Right.
has to be curbside. That's-
Yes,
yeah.
I understand.
I mean,
But
I
that's
think-
my concern, that people drive around picking up these things.
Yeah, I don't, I'm concerned about there are buildings or houses where the houses all the way, you know, we have a lot of, you know, in the Bronx, we have a lot of hills and bedrock, so a lot of houses were built. Upset that.
See, the first floor is like a
Right.
stairwell.
Yeah, there's like a lot of stairs, and I'm just concerned about people who live up there that then have to bring down these bins. And put them out on the sidewalk to then have to bring it back inside. I'm fortunate, I'm on, you know, ground level, so I can put it in, but
Right.
I know that there are people that are going to have, it's gonna be a hardship for a lot of
Mhm.
people.
I
to
think,
drag them
you
down.
know, in a kidding mode, I think we will be creating a new industry of people who will say, hey, for X amount of money. On a weekly basis, I will pick up your bins and put them in an appropriate place. And we will create a
Oh,
whole
like
new
a
service industry.
Like a bin babysitter?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll sit outside with
We-
your
we need
bin
one.
so nobody steals your bin.
But anyway, I mean, if my concern was with the commercial was there, they put them out at night. And I don't think, you know, the sanitation's gonna go out and check these, because that's when they're private haulers. And they don't really care, they're gonna take it, whatever it is, whether it's in a bin or not, unlike, sanitation, which will not take something that is not in, you know, in a standard, you know, container. So I don't know if the private haulers are being told, you know, you can't pick up. And I know a lot of them sell, those bins, because you'll see the name of the hauler on
Yes,
the
yeah.
side. Some of them don't, like I said, this particular bodega, I've taken pictures of it, I mean, constantly taking pictures because, and I told the guy, I said, you have to have it in a covered bin. He's got like 13-gallon, two 13-gallon, or what look like maybe 20-something gallon. And he's got lots of garbage, aside from the recycling stuff, cartons or whatever, is garbage. And on top of that, there's also, you can see clearly, I guess they sell sandwiches or whatever, so you see day old bread in big clear bags on the ground. And no one, I can't, if I report it, I don't know how sanitation is gonna come out and check them, they need to be spoken to.
Yeah, we can bring that back to see where we are in
Okay.
with the commercial stuff.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Are we clear? Are we ready to compost and containerize? Okay, great, I'm very happy to hear that.
Wait, before we go, I do have, I'm not sure how many we have in the office. We have some, beige,
The small baby.
small containers, yes, that,
Those are the kitchen containers.
yeah, we have a few of those. I think, I forgot, yes, we have maybe 6. So whoever emails me first in the morning, come by and pick it up.
So you could
So
separate.
again, if I compost it into this little bin, am I responsible for taking it down?
Yes,
You're not gonna walk.
but it has a little handle. I keep mine in the fridge.
I have one, I have it's not even that, I just bought a small, waste with steps, and I just put it in there with a compostable bag, so that's what I do. And that's fine for me.
And where do you get these compostable bags?
I ordered them online, yeah.
So additional expense to get rid of.
Well, you know what, it's all, if you're a homeowner, it's all
Yeah.
tax deductible, just, okay, we have here wonderful. For your, building or whatever, okay, these are decals.
Yeah.
Well, that could go on the pail itself, right?
Yes, it
Yeah.
should go on the field itself.
Thank you.
And we have,
So this really takes away their excuse, they don't have to. do
well,
it.
they're not gonna pay attention, and what's a recycle, we always need to go back to
That's
these.
true.
Always,
because
yeah.
It's always an issue.
I still do.
I keep one on my
I still do.
refrigerator.
I look at it.
Sir, if we want more of these, who do we call? 311 or?
You can go on the sanitation site or for more of them.
Well, we can get more of those, how many, you
Yeah.
want more, you want?
Well, I'm thinking, put one in each one of my floors and recycle rooms.
You got enough, one more?
Three, four, five,
You don't say.
six,
Only one.
Yeah.
two,
Yeah, 8:45. It's okay.
five, six.
Do these, anyone, I wanna check
Two.
down, that one, some of these?
I got a couple, I will give them to the building
Okay,
management.
There
and
you
then we
go.
have,
We'll put it
Oh,
up in
good,
each
okay.
building.
and then we have, one cycle, it's totally good, sometimes it's.
Yeah, definitely pass that.
Okay. All right, everyone. I was just informed that we should be out of the building by 8:45.
Oh, okay.
The latest.
Here, pass me one.
Yeah, we need some
Can
of
I
these.
get some more of those?
Oh, absolutely, here, take some of these.
Those also, one more of those?
Yeah, and there's another.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here.
Yeah. Then we have,
If you wanna adjourn the lunch.
yeah, yeah. And then what's a recycle, we also have some of these, mixed paper, and these are all decal, okay? So.